Welcome back, everybody, to the Over the Board playlist, where we look at my Over the Board tournament games, preferably on the classical time format, and we try to learn from them. Today was no different. Before we get into the game, though, a couple of things happened. First of all, a couple weeks ago, I participated on a club championship, a chess club championship, and I got first place. I won. Here's a medal, so you can believe and actually see that I got a gold medal. And then after that, the next day, I played a classical game against an 8-year-old and destroyed it in 15 moves. I was considering it on making a video, but really was so short and depressing, I just straight up did not. And then a couple weeks later as well, there was a rapid tournament for students, and I got first place with a gold medal. Here's another picture. With 5 out of 6, 5 wins, 1 loss. And 40 minutes after that, classical mats. Already I was tired, and I was playing with an 1800 FIDE player. It was a bit depressing. It was a really tough game, but we're here to learn, and I was already hyped because I got a gold medal, but that's okay. So let's get into the game. Make sure you want to subscribe, if you want, of course. Or join a Discord, or do both of them. I don't know. Anyway, let's get on to the game. Okay, so we're playing with the white pieces against a guy that is 1800 in FIDE, which is, that's to say, a bit high. It's just in comp terms. I'm sorry for the flip. In just in comp terms, it's like 2200. That's like a couple hundred points below me, like 200 points below me. Just a bit. It's just 200 points is a big difference, but that doesn't matter. We're here for the chess. D4, knight f6, c4, c5. c5 is the move chosen. Now, the Benoni defense was a very popular opening back in the day. Now, it's called refuted. It's semi-refuted. There are some lines you can play against the Benoni. And in fact, after d5 and d6, and knight to c3, g6, we have e4 and f3. So generally against the Benoni, what you want to be doing is something like this. The entire point of the Benoni is that you're going to fight on the queen side and maybe strike with f5. Now it says King's Indian, but technically it's a Benoni. Because the ideas with the King's Indian are almost the same. There are, of course, different approaches to the Benoni, but also f5 is not really bad. Castles, bishop d3, and after e6, we have bishop to e3, preparing queen to d2 to try and get rid of this bishop eventually. We have rook e8 and knight g to e2, which is supporting the knight, supporting against the weak d4 square, which could be exploded in the future. E takes, c takes, knight b d7, and queen to d2, we're setting up the battery on the king side. a6, preparing b5, we stop that with a4. So generally what will happen on the queen side here, it will probably get locked down, and everything will be dependent on the king side, which means we will be going on the same side, king side attack. Knight e5, and we just castle here because really this bishop is not that worth it. You do get a light square bishop, and you could try to get a second knight over there. That's possible, fine. But really, there's just nothing else. I will play with my knights, and I will put them on some good squares. Like, for example, c4 is a good square. Knight f4 and knight d3 is a good square. So there's potential chances for a bit of positional play with the knights. So, but we have b6 instead, with bishop b7, or I don't know, something else. And then I decided to play the move b3 to stop a potential queen to c7 and c4 expense, which could destroy my light square bishop. It would have 0 scope. It would be absolutely horrendous. b3, queen c7, and bishop to c4. This is a bit of an innovation by me. Most people would play, I don't know, knight f4, which I don't understand, or rook c1, let's say, for example. But eventually, this is c4 is an idea eventually, not right away. But there are positions where, for example, rook c1 takes knight here to set up something here and here, and this could potentially turn into like a c4 situation here where it would just explode the queen side and black would get it to 1-1, which is generally what we really don't want. So bishop c4 actually stops all of those things. Number one, b5 is impossible. If you take, I will take back with the pawn. By the time you get like a knight to support the c-pawn, I will go like rook c1 here, and then I will like, I don't know, knight a2, knight d1, and then like knight d1, for example, is an idea here, but then that pawn would be a little weak. So another idea the engine actually proposes is queen to a2. Believe it or not, your queen is extremely passive, but you can strike back at the queen side. That's what the engine wants. After bishop c4, my opponent goes, after a little bit of thought, rook f8, which is all right. You are preparing knight d7 and f5, which would strike on the king side. Bishop f4, now that's a different innovation. So now the point is, if you don't do anything, I will take the knight, you will take back, and now your two bishops look at brick walls. They look at nothing. So it does my bishop. But it could open up in the future. This bishop doesn't really have anything, and this bishop just has this diagonal over here. But it doesn't pose a threat, really. I mean, worst comes to worst, like, you give me a, for example, you give me check. Worst comes to worst, this happens. But really, there's no easy way. They have to go knight d7 and prepare f5. They need to go f5 and strike at my king. So really not an easy position. If you attack my bishop, then I will probably just trade bishops. f5 takes, the engine wants this. Actually prefers queen takes, knight takes is also reasonable. And the engine just wants f4, takes, and takes. And apparently white is slightly better according to the computer. But the position does open up, which could complement black's bishop. So I didn't really go for this. Instead, they went knight fd7. And now I spend a bit of time here. I spend a little bit of time. There are a couple of plans. Bishop h6 is a plan and an idea to get this position, where they would have this knight over here. They would win my pawn, but then I would strike back at the king, and then f6, and all this. I did not see all that, and I didn't think it was okay to do it, because really black has defenses. They can defend themselves. So instead of that, I went g4. Now, the queen side, before you call me out for playing g4, the queen side is blocked. The center is kind of locked. Not a lot of activity going on here. And the king side will eventually like get really aggressive. So g4 to prepare against m5, and then I would put my king on h1, rook g1, h4, h5, something along those lines. Knight takes c4, taking my bishop, b takes c4, knight e5. And now we have to take the knight, and after this, we need to use our knights to generate an attack, and the rooks and the pawns. I calculated the move queen g5, but I really did not see anything else, especially after like something like this or something like this. I mean, there's nothing. You soften up the f-pawn, but I mean, that's what black wants. Like, black wants an attack, right? So really, it's not necessary at all. Rook a2 is what I played. Now, rook a2 has an idea. The idea is you're sidestepping the pin. Obviously, a better move is rook b1. I don't know why I didn't play rook b1. Instead, I went rook a2 because in my mind, I thought I would get a rook on h2 and a rook on h1 and try to attack. f5. Now, f5, according to the computer, is wrong. Because it takes. Oh, never mind. It doesn't think it's wrong anymore. And f4, and then here, for example, then you would lock this down. However, if they take you, and you take back and they take this pawn, apparently white has some slight chance, but it's really complicated. Like here, and they want a queen trade, and then you win this back. Like eventually you could win this back, but really I don't know how you would win this back according to the computer. So it's just wild. This idea is wild. So g5 instead is a bit more human. It's a bit more human because you want to lock down the entire thing. You want to lock down the bishops. However, it's a tad bit too late. f4, locking the position. That's the best move according to me and to the computer, if we give it a little bit of time to think. F4 just locks down everything, and in a locked position, attacks will be much better, and the computer wants king h1, my entire idea, but instead, I got scared, terrified, and played h4 to try and preserve the h-pawn. And my opponent finds a really good move here, h6. This is a clearance sacrifice. If I do not take the pawn, I go here, for example, and then I let him do this. Eventually, they will win my pawn back, and also we will have a big fight for this file. And really, it's not a great position at all. I mean, black will probably win the battle. Like, by the time I get settled and get myself some sort of crazy attack, apparently, like something like this, for example. I mean, it's very, very unclear who's better here and who is not better here. According to the computer, it's black who can call the shots here. But it's really difficult. I mean, it's really difficult, and probably white in the long run just loses this, straight up, because the bishop pair, which the position will open up, and it's already opening up on the king side, so it could be a bit of a problem. But g takes h6 forced, and now queen to e7, trying to win back the pawn and open up the h-file. Queen e1, which is atrocious. The better move is rook f2. And if they take the pawn, then this. But I got scared, obviously, and this entire thing is just so complicated. I don't understand anything about chess. Queen e1, bishop h3, well spotted. Basically forces rook f2. The engine wants to actually sack the rook, which is cannot be explained, not even by GM, honestly. Rook f2, queen takes, and rook a1 again, which, I mean, it's a bit stupid. And actually g5 by my opponent, and then rook h2, hopefully trying to do something here. Exchange, and we're simply just down the pawn. And after g4, this is really, really doomed. There could be drawing chances, but it's just so hard. I tank a bit of my time, and at this point I'm starting to lose it. I start like grabbing my hair. I start like shaking. Headache, that too. So I give a check with the h pawn. If you take this, actually white saves this because of pawn takes. If you go, this is the entire idea of black, by the way. So in this position, you will be like, oh my god, you can take this pawn. Black's idea is f3, sacrificing the bishop for f2, and then getting this. This is black's idea, and then I would be an exchange down, and I would be picked apart, basically, and there's no hope of saving this position. g4, there's another move that could be theoretically played here. It's another move I considered here is like something with involving rook b1. But after this, not really much you can do. Like this still exists, by the way. Like this could still exist in some positions. But bishop takes, and if you pin me, actually, I just, if I pin him, then he just unpins. And after king f2, that's a mouse slip. After king f2, there's just this, and we're destroyed, basically. And we just lose the game, because exchange down, even though it's not exchange down, it's actually, yeah, it's exchange down, I know what I'm talking about. It's exchange down and open position and potential pass pawn. There's no way of saving this. So instead of that, h7 check. If you take with the pawn, I take this, and if you do the same thing, this is a check. That's the problem. It's a check, and you can't do it. And after this, then I will probably save this some way, somehow. Like king f2, takes, and if you take the knight, I take with the rook. And actually, it could be saved. It's still very difficult, though, because I will be down a bit of material. It could be saved. There is possibility. But king h8. After king h8, rook b1, and try to attack the pawn. Try to put some pressure. If I still take the pawn, the same idea could still work. But bishop takes a7 is just a bit more brutal, because I have to play this. And then they just go back and so many threats, I don't know what to do anymore. But rook b1, rook a7, very, very well spotted, putting pressure on the pawn. And f takes g4. Rook h1 is unfindable, because after this, eventually, this move will be played. Like, for example, I don't know how to give you an example, but really, this is just the idea. After king f2, to try and escape, there's like this bishop reroute, and black will win. Black breaks the fourth and wins. So there's rook h1 does nothing. But it's just so weird. I don't know how to explain it. F takes g4. Instead, we go for this. I calculated that if you push the pawn, I will take the bishop, you will take my knight, I will take the pawn, and if you take this pawn, then takes, and it's just a matter of who will get to the pawns first. And by the looks of it, I could be winning this race, but it could also be drawn. So bishop takes g4 instead, which is just so ruthless. The idea is if I attack this bishop, they just defend it, and now there's nothing. And if I take this free pawn, like for example, here, this is just nasty, and I lose the entire game basically. I mean, you just lose. There's nothing here. So yeah, not really great. Rook g2, final bit of gasp for air. Bishop takes e2, and now we have intermezzo, rook g8 check, which basically wants this, to sack the pawn that way. Now the computer is a savage. It actually wants this simplification. Either way, I would still be losing. It wants this simplification because the two bishops always beat up the rooks. Because first of all, more pieces. Second of all, two minor pieces, 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, they just win because you have more pieces. You could coordinate them better. Even in endgames, like that's also possible. So there are some endgames where you can do it, like 3-on-1 or 3-on-0. There are some endgames like that where the two minor pieces are just impossible to win you the game. Yeah, I mean the two bishops basically equal to a rook. Especially in an open position like this, especially with so many large square pawns as well. But it would just be the final gasp of air, like I said. Rook takes g8 instead, and now we have 8 takes equals queen. Now, a fun fact about this, after I played 8 takes, I did not even promote to queen. And then my opponent looks at me and would just like laugh, and then I realized, oh, I did not make the queen, I just left it as a pawn. And me, the arbiter, my opponent, and everyone else in the room were laughing about it, joking about it. I mean, after this, and then we take the bishop. I thought we could potentially draw this. I thought we could do it, but bishop d4 check, king h2, and a couple moves later, he gets the pawn on f2, and like, I resigned somewhere around here. Because eventually black will just make you run out of moves, and like you'll just run out of moves. All your pieces are stuck defending the pawn, and then black will just get to your pawns. And this move I kind of resigned. It was a really, really complicated game. Really was very instructive as well. Like, you could learn some stuff from this. Generally, this f3 systems against the Benoni are really nice. Another way you can play against the Benoni is the aggressive style with knight c3, e4, and f4. That's another one. There's knight f3. There's bishop d3. Bishop d3 is also a way. Another one is g3. I've seen as well sometimes being played. a3, a4, like, but most of the time, I don't know why my voice just cut off there. Most of the time, f3 will be okay, because you want to solidify against the structure and prevent counterplay on the queen side with b5, and you go a4 and you just prevent everything basically. So yeah, really instructive game. There were really nice concepts here. This A4 thing, this B3, and Bishop C4, nice move. It's probably the third computer move. I must be. I don't know. Um, like my hardware is not even picking it up. It wants knight F4. Um, this Bishop C4 just blocking everything, and if takes, you create this blockade, which is just really nice. Instead with kind of and this Bishop F4 to try to get into this endgame, and eventually running out of ideas and having to go on the king side, but completely failing to do it. And this exchange sacrifice just opening the Yates file is really good as well. So yeah, we lost, but actually I was pretty tired already. I was really tired already. So yeah, that's it. A very good game nonetheless. I will be seeing you guys in the next one. Take care. Goodbye.